everyone, I am 𝓥𝓲𝓫𝓱𝓪 and welcome to 𝓥𝓲𝓫 classes for 𝓒𝓱𝓪. So today I will explain the 5th chapter of the class 10th geography, and the chapter that we have got here is Minerals and Energy Resources. So minerals and energy resources. Now in this chapter there are going to be 2 parts. We will discuss in 2 parts. The first one is the minerals, that we will discuss about the minerals, like types of minerals, what exactly is a mineral, and secondly we will discuss about the energy resources like wind energy, tidal power, geothermal energy, like these things. So you could say that in this chapter we are going to discuss about the minerals and energy resources. Now you have studied about these things in earlier classes as well, but now in this chapter we will sum up all these things. So you could say that in this chapter we are going to have a brief case study of all the minerals that can be found in India and the energy resources that are produced in India, as taking the perspective from India. So let's start our chapter with our first topic, that is, what is a mineral? So what is a mineral? Now as all of you know that minerals that are very important for our life, like they are you could say they're very efficient for our life. From a tiny pin to a towering building, everything is made from minerals, and even the food that we consume, it has minerals as a nutrient. So you could say that minerals that are everywhere, you could say that as commercially viable for our livelihood, for culturally, like for all the benefits of us, and you could say that they are the indispensable part of our life. Minerals are the indispensable part of our life. So what exactly is a mineral? Now mineral, that is a kind of chemical composition that is commercially viable and efficient, and that is found in our surface, you could say. So you could say that is exactly what a mineral is. As all of you know that rocks that have the mineral composition in them, and you could say that is what we call the minerals. Minerals like iron ore, those kind of things, iron ore, manganese, bauxite, gold, platinum, these kind of things are the minerals. And we can say that these are all the minerals that we have, and this is what we call a mineral. Mineral is all of you know that we can't just imagine our lives without minerals. Like from a long history, from a long period of time, we have been using minerals directly or indirectly in our lives. So you could say that minerals that are the indispensable part and unimaginable part of our lives. Now let's discuss more about them with our next topic, that is mode of occurrence of mineral. So mode of occurrence of minerals. Now where are the minerals found? You could say that where can you find the minerals, how they are found. Let's discuss about the minerals. You could say that the mode of occurrence of minerals, let's discuss about them. Now firstly, there can be different kind of variations, there can be different luster, textures, colors in minerals, in mineral forms, because of different conditions in which they are formed, in which the materials are formed. Like firstly, let's discuss about the iron ore, or simply the ore that has a kind of any kind of mineral, like the higher concentration of mineral. It could be that not just one mineral is found, there can be different types of minerals, but you could say that higher concentration of a mineral is found in an ore that is commercially viable. You could say that in the world we have more than 2,000 varieties of rocks that have the mineral, but we can't just use all of them as they don't have a higher concentration of minerals. But ore are a special kind of mineral that have a higher concentration of a specific mineral, and that is why they're commercially viable, like we have the benefit from them. So you could say that can be extracted with ease, have the higher concentration of minerals, and are commercially viable are the ores. When we talk about iron ore, and we have other ores as well. So you could say that is what is an ore. And after that, let's discuss about the occurrence of minerals. Now in metamorphic rocks and in igneous rocks, what happens that there is a concept of veins and lodes, like they are the cracks, you could say that they are formed. Now the smaller ones are called veins, and the bigger ones are called, bigger or larger you could say, are called lodes. And you could say that in this all kind of minerals, like you could say special metals like tin, platinum, iron are formed in this way. Like you could say that all the gaseous molten magma, or you could say minerals that are in the liquid form or the gaseous forms are liquefied. You could say that from the earth's surface they are conducted as solidified. You could say in solid material they are converted from the earth's surface. So you could say that liquefied materials like molten magma, that they have the minerals, and after that in gaseous forms, and they are converted in solid forms. So you could say that special metals like iron, platinum, tin, can are formed in this way, and that is the concept of veins and lodes. After that we have that in sedimentary rocks there is a concept of composition, like there is so much composition, and in which this a kind of formation of minerals can be seen. Now you could say that in oceans there are so many varieties of minerals, but we can't just use them because of the high diffusion that they have, and that is why, but still there are some minerals that can be used from ocean waters, like for example the salt, the common salt that we use in our homes, and different varieties of salt are also extracted from the ocean water. And after that there is the alluvial minerals as well, like they are formed in the base of hills, and you could say that where alluvial sandy soils are formed. In arid regions you could say they are formed. So you could say that alluvial minerals are also there, and there can be kind of, you could say that in some arid regions due to evaporation there can be some formation of minerals as well. So you could say that there can be different mode of occurrence of minerals, and that is why under different conditions they have different texture, different luster, different color, different, you could say different types of things because of the different conditions in which they are formed. And that is why we have in India is very fortunate to have every kind of minerals, like most of the minerals that are commonly used in our country. But you know what, that they are unevenly distributed. Like for example in some parts of Rajasthan there is a high variety of this kind of material, and in some other part there will be this kind. So you could say that there is uneven distribution of all the minerals in all the parts of the country, and that is why we need to conserve them and use them wisely. You could say it's not like if in this area there is a high concentration of this mineral that you will only use to, then you will only keep it to yourself. You have to distribute to other people as well, and other people will also do the same for other materials, minerals. So you could say that due to uneven distribution we need to use all the minerals wisely, and a kind of thing can be seen, like there can be some issues, some you said that provisions from the government as well. So you could say that India is fortunate to have all the minerals that we discussed. And now let's discuss about, in this chapter we'll discuss about the specific types of minerals. Now let's discuss about the third topic, that is ferrous minerals. So ferrous minerals, now you know what, that there can be some classification of minerals. Now minerals that can be classified in metallic, non-metallic, and energy resource, energy minerals. Energy minerals that include coal, petroleum, these kind of things. In metallic we can further classify them as ferrous and non-ferrous, where there can be third category as well. In some cases that is precious, but generally there are two classification of metallic resources. Now first, that is ferrous that contain iron, and non-ferrous that don't contain iron, like bauxite, zinc, lead. And you could say that ferrous that are the iron or nickel, cobalt, these kind of. So let's discuss about the ferrous minerals. Now you know what, that ferrous minerals that account for 3/4 of all the, you could say, metallic minerals that can be found. And you could say that there is a good quality of, you could say that they are also used in developmental industries, in metallurgical industries, and they are used in industry so much. And after that we have a lot of abundant resources, abundant ferrous minerals in India, and that is why India exports these minerals too, after taking its own demands, her internal demands. So after fulfilling her internal demands, India also exports these minerals to other countries. So let's discuss about those minerals one by one. Now first that we have got here is iron ore. So iron iron ore. Now iron ore that generally has iron in it, a kind of concentration of iron. Now there can be very good quality, finest quality of iron ore that is known as magnetite, that has about 70% of the concentration of iron concentration in it. But you could say that it isn't used that much in industries. In industries, the most commonly used one is hematite. Now hematite that has from 50 to 60% of iron concentration in it, but it is used abundantly in industries. As all of you know, iron is a backbone of the steel industries. Like steel is made from it, and a lot of industries run from iron ore. You know that in a blast furnace steel is made. So you could say that iron ore that is very important, and there are some iron ore belts in our country. Like they are generally found in Jharkhand, in Maharashtra, in Karnataka regions. But let's discuss about the iron ore belts as well. Now firstly, we have got the Maharashtra Goa belt. Like in Goa there is also some kind of iron ore, and in Maharashtra there is Ratnagiri region where iron ore is found. And after that we have some other belts as well. Like for example, in other parts like in Odisha, Jharkhand, we have Odisha Jharkhand belt. Like there are some districts in those regions and where iron ore can be found abundantly. Like so you could say that minerals that can be generally found in Jharkhand, in those regions. So you could say that iron ore that is found in some regions that are Jharkhand, Odisha, Maharashtra, and in Goa region as well, and in Karnataka. So these five are the leading producers of iron ore in our country. Now iron ore that is generally used everywhere. Like haven't you used iron in your house as well? So you could say that iron ore is very important for our life as well. After that we have got another mineral, that is manganese. So manganese. Now manganese that is used for making steel. Like for making 1 ton of steel, you need to have 10 kgs of manganese, and it is also used for making bleaching powders and in some toothpastes as well, and some other things. So you could say that manganese that is used, and it is also produced in our states. Like for according, there can be some states like Odisha, Gujarat, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh as well. So you could say that in these states manganese is formed, and you know what, that it is used in manganese factories and ferromanganese alloy. So a kind of alloy is also known a kind of composition for of some kind of minerals or some kind of composition. So in ferromanganese alloy it is also used. So you could say that manganese that is used for making steel as well. For 1 ton of steel you need to have 10 kgs of manganese. You know what, a steel that is made in blast furnace. So you could say that for 1 ton of steel you need to have 10 kgs of manganese. Now that was about the ferrous minerals. Now let's discuss about non-ferrous minerals as well with our next topic, that is non-ferrous minerals. So non-ferrous minerals. Now non-ferrous minerals, like the production of non-ferrous minerals in India is quite not satisfactory. Like for example, there aren't that much non-ferrous minerals that can be produced in our country, but in some cases like bauxite, in copper, in zinc, in lead, these can be produced in our country. But aside from that, there aren't that much production of non-ferrous minerals in our country, so it's not quite satisfactory. But in ferrous minerals there is a lot of satisfactory production. Like we export to other countries, South Korea, in Japan, in those countries we do export these minerals, but we can't export the non-ferrous minerals. Even in some cases we have to import them. So you could say that non-ferrous minerals, there isn't that much production in our country of those minerals. So let's discuss about just two non-ferrous minerals that are, first one here is copper. So copper. Now copper that is used for making, you could say that it has a very good conductivity, has malleability, and has a kind of good, it is good for metallurgical purposes as well. And that is why we use copper as for making electric cables and wires and making pipes as well. So copper is generally used for that purposes and mainly in those industries as well. Now copper, that is a very good material, mineral, you could say. Like it is used for many purposes, but you could say that it is very productive as it has a very good conductivity, very good proper properties of this mineral. So you could say that copper that might be used in your house as well, but we may not recognize it. So you could say that it is also produced in the same regions like in Jharkhand, in Maharashtra, in Madhya Pradesh, in these regions. Like they are found in you could say that these are found in some regions that can be, you could say that in Amarkantak Hills, in Bhatani Hills. So you could say that in these regions copper is found. After that we have bauxite. So bauxite. Now you know what, that we have aluminium in our houses, don't we? But that aluminium comes from bauxite. We do see that aluminium is everywhere, but that aluminium comes from bauxite. Now bauxite that has aluminium that later becomes aluminium, and bauxite are formed with aluminium silicates, and that is why aluminium can be extracted from it. And aluminium that has a very good strength as for metal like iron compared to iron, and with heavy lightness as well. So you could say that it's shine. You know what, that there is a very good shining of aluminium as well, and good conductivity and malleability as well. Like you know what, that copper that was ductile, but it isn't. So you could say that with good malleability, with good conductivity, is also used for many purposes, like for making utensils, for might be our pressure cookers, might be our plates, dishes. Well, we do use crockery, but we also use the utensils made from aluminium. And after that we have a lot of uses, other uses like in trains for making. So you could say that aluminium is also used for many purposes, not just for one purpose, and it is also a very good mineral. And the states where they are mainly found are Jharkhand, Odisha, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. So you could say that these are the states where this mineral, where bauxite is formed. Now let us discuss about another thing, that is non-metallic minerals. So non-metallic minerals. Now let's discuss about just, we are going to discuss only about one mineral that is a non-metallic mineral, like they aren't that much. So let's discuss about it. Firstly, that is mica. So mica is also, you know, that is used like for making in furnitures, for decorating as well. Now you know what, that mica that is made of very thin sheets, a very thin series of very thin leaves or plate. Now it can be split in a very thin sheets. They can be split in a very thin sheet layer, and they can be thousands of thin sheet layers just to up to just some centimeters high. So you could say that mica that is made up of a series of plates or leaves, and then they can be split into a kind of many thin sheets, and even if we combine more than 1,000 thin sheets, still they will be just some centimeters high. Now mica with the electric factor, low loss factor, and it is used because of these factors, it is used abundantly in electric and electrical industries. So you could say that mica that is used commonly in those industries, and that is what we generally use for, like mica that is used for those. So you could say that with so much insulating facility, you could say qualities, and the electric factor, and after that low loss factor. So you could say that is why it is used more commonly in electric and electrical industries. Now let's discuss about the rock minerals as well. Rock minerals. Now rock minerals also, we are going to discuss just one about rock minerals that can be quarried from rock directly. So let's discuss about a limestone with the subtopic limestone. So limestone. Now limestone that acts as a raw material for the cement industry, like it is directly from the rocks, and that is why it is a rock mineral. Now you know what, that limestone that we use for generally we use just for cement industry. Well, it is used in some other industries as well, but the main factor is that it acts as a raw material for the cement industry. Well, there isn't that much specialty about this mineral, but yeah, we just use it for our own purpose. Now let's discuss about a very important topic with the next topic, that is conservation of minerals. So So conservation of minerals. Now you know what, that minerals that have been formed just not in one night, not just they have been formed just in one night. They have been formed for millions of years, thousands of years, and we're consuming it very rapidly. Like if you compare the rate of consumption to the rate of formation of minerals, like we have very high rates of consumption. And after that, there's a lot of factors affecting minerals as well, as it is affecting the environment as well. Like it depends on from which perspective you want to see it at minerals. And you know what, that for minerals we use a lot of minerals, not just one mineral. Like if we talk about the workable minerals, there are a lot of minerals, and that is why there is a high rately consumption of minerals. Now we need to have some development, and that also should be sustainable development for minerals. Like we need to conserve the minerals so as to make them for the future generation as well. Like we have been bestowed with these materials, minerals, from our ancestors, and we should make it for the future generations as well. Now you know what, that for minerals you could say that they can become extinct on the earth's surface as well if we don't want to conserve them, if we aren't taking measures for conserving them. Like there should be recycling methods for metals, uses of scrap metals, and those kind of things. Just a little step towards those good things, then it will become a very big change. So for a change, take the first step by yourself. So you could say that we need to conserve the minerals, as it has been consumed very rapidly. Like for industry purpose, for your own purposes, you can have a lot of minerals, you can have it, but you need to conserve them as well, don't you? So you could say that for conserving minerals, we need to take a lot of measures, we need to use them wisely. That's it. Now let's discuss about next topic. Now we have discussed about the minerals, like till now we did talk about the minerals, types of minerals, those things, but now let's discuss about the energy resources. That is the second part of this chapter, with the next topic, that is energy resources. So energy resources. Now tell me, don't you use energy everywhere to cook the food, for running your vehicles, for running your machines? Like we need to have energy for doing anything. Even in your body you have energy. Where you don't use the energy. So you could say that for making anything you need to have energy. For anything you need to have energy for each purposes as well. And that is why there are some energy resources. Now they can be classified into two types, that are conventional resources, conventional energy resources, and non-conventional energy resources. Now conventional energy resources that have been used, like that are very old method, traditional, you could say, that have been convented, you could say, like you could say dung cake, petroleum, coal. Now these are some conventional energy resources. And if we talk about the non-conventional resources, then they would be solar energy, wind energy, thermal power, and you could say that nuclear atomic power as well. So you could say that in conventional we have electricity both hydro and thermal, and we have coal, petroleum, and dung cake. Now dung cake, that is generally used in rural areas. Well, have you ever seen in your urban cities the uses of dung cake? I think that you haven't. So you could say that dung cake, that is generally used in rural areas, and in a survey that has been conducted, it has been estimated that around 70% of the needs of rural people is based on the dung cakes. So you could say that is why there's a lot of uses of dung cakes or those traditional methods in rural area more and more. So you could say that is what we're going to discuss more briefly. So let's discuss about firstly the conventional resources, and after that non-conventional energy resources. For the next topic, that is, now the next topic that we have here is conventional sources of energy. So conventional sources of energy. Now just I said that these are that we'll discuss. So let's discuss about the conventional sources of energy. Now first source of energy that we have got here is coal. So coal is also known that is very important mineral, very important source of energy for the nation's need. Well, it is used for industrial purposes as well as for the domestic needs of the people. So the whole nation, our country is dependent on coal for energy resource, for energy, you could say energy purposes, for energy, you could say that resource source from this. Now coal from which heat is produced and a lot of kind of electricity power can be produced with coal. Now there can be different, as you are aware that coal that has been formed with the compression, with the burials of all the plant materials that were millions of years ago. So it also depends the quality, the texture, the age of coal, on which degrees it was compressed, and what was the burial time, and on the burial depth as well. So you could say that on these three factors there can be some kind of variations in coals as well. Like for example, if we talk about the coals, now bituminous is the most, you could say that commonly used, is a very good quality coal. It is not the best quality of coal, but yeah, it is the most commonly used coal and it's a very good coal. Like it had a very increased temperature during the time of compression. And if we talk about a lignite, now lignite, that is a very low quality brown coal that can be used that much for our purposes. So you could say that if we talk about the variations on coal, they can be many. Like anthracite, that is the best quality of coal. Now in these three, now there is the most, if we talk about in the socio-economic matter, then we use bituminous the most. Like it is the metallurgical coal sources, metallurgical sources of energy that is used in the industries. Now there can be, in India there are two geological ages of coal. First is Gondwana and second is tertiary. Now Gondwana coals are those that are over 200 million years of age, and tertiary that are very nearly like 55 million years, where it is so much, but compared to Gondwana it is just nothing. So you could say that Gondwana, that is around 200 million years age. And if we talk about this tertiary age of coal, then it would be 55 million years age. And if we talk about the regions in which coal can be found, now you could say that Gondwana coal ages, coal ages of Gondwana can be found in Damodar Valley, that is in West Bengal and in Jharkhand region, and in the valleys of Mahanadi, Son, Vardha rivers. So you could say that in the valleys of these rivers and in the Damodar Valley, these type of coal can be found. And tertiary coal that can be found in many regions, not just in one region, like in Jharkhand region, in many regions they can be found. So you could say that is about the coal. Now coal that can be, you could say that is used for most of the heat production in our country and for the nation's need, you could say. After that we have the next mineral resources, that is petroleum. So petroleum, that is the next energy resource and second most important one here. Now petroleum that acts as lubricants, acts for heat production, you could say that for production as well, in industries as well. Now you know what, that it also acts as lubricants, and with petroleum you also get the natural gas. Now petroleum that can be found in Bombay High, in Gujarat and in Assam. Now petroleum that can be found, you know what, that wherever they are linked there is porous layers, and to prevent the flow of the oil from those porous layers, there is an intervening of non-porous layers by different materials. So you could say that for petroleum there is a lot of method. You could say that for petroleum it is very beneath the earth, it is very deeply in the earth's surface, and a lot of structure can be seen for extracting the petroleum from that ground. Like it is so underground, so deeply in the ground, in the earth's surface, and that is why we need to have a lot of structure for extracting it from the you could say from the earth's surface. So you could say petroleum that acts as lubricants in industries as well, and you could say that for in petrochemical industries as well. So you could say that petroleum that is the second most important energy resource in our country, and you could say that it is also used so much in our country. After that, the third one that we have got here is natural gas. Now natural gas that can be found in association with or without petroleum. Like for example, wherever there is petroleum, there is obviously be natural gas, but it is not obviously necessarily that wherever natural gas is, there will be petroleum. Like over many years, that petroleum gets evaporated and gets converted into natural gas. But in petroleum, when we find petroleum, when petroleum is found, it is obvious that there would be natural gas above that. So with the construction, with the extraction of petroleum, we also extract natural gas, but it's not necessary that where natural gas has been found, there would be obviously the petroleum. It's not necessary. So you could say that is the concept of natural gas. Now natural gas that is also used in you could say that petrochemical industries and for many other purposes. But nowadays CNG, compressed natural gas, is also used widely in our country. Now natural gas that is also found in Assam, and you could say that elite forces of there, and in the you could say that in the very long, you could say that there are very long routes of natural gas in our country. They are found in Bombay High, in Assam, in Gujarat region, in those regions, and after that there are long routes of natural gas in our country as well. After that we have the next source of energy, that is electricity. Now electricity, as all of you know that electricity, what it is, as you already use in electronic appliances like your refrigerator, your fan, your AC, your even mobile tab. Without charger you can't run it, and charger can only run it when you have the electricity. So you need to have electricity for all these gadgets, for all these appliances. Now electricity that can be formed into two ways. First is hydropower or hydroelectricity, that is formed by ocean waters, by water. Now what happens that with the heavy flow of water, the turbine gets rotated, energy is produced, and it is generated in electricity. And secondly, we have thermal power. In thermal power, coal, petroleum, and natural gas are converted into heat and energy, and then it is converted into electricity. Well, both electricity are the same. It's not like you will have the different electricity from hydroelectricity and different in thermal power. Both are same, but their methods are different obviously, and their materials are also different. So there are two ways in which electricity can be formed: hydropower and thermal power. Well, both are used equally, but nowadays hydropower is also getting increasing, but still we use coal, like thermal power, more and more in our country. So you could say that is how electricity is also used so much in our country. After that, let's discuss about the non-conventional sources of energy with the next topic, that is non-conventional sources of energy. Now non-conventional sources of energy, now you know what, that conventional sources of energy are not eco-friendly, and still, like for example, the rural people use the cattle dung cake that could be used as a manure in agriculture, and besides forest area is also being demarcated. So you could say that for that purpose we need to replace them as well, and that is why we have the non-conventional sources of energy. Now non-conventional sources of energy are eco-friendly, are good, like they are the renewable resource, but those resources, the fossil fuels, oil, petroleum and gas, aren't the renewable resource. They are non-renewable resource, and that is why we need to replace them with renewable resource that are the non-conventional sources of energy, in which we have wind energy, thermal power, geothermal energy, and we have the tidal energy. So let's discuss about those non-conventional sources of energy one by one. With the first one we have got here is nuclear or atomic energy. So nuclear or atomic energy. Now you know what, that nuclear or atomic energy is generated with you could say that in which heat and energy, electricity is produced with the help of thorium and uranium. Now uranium is a must and thorium is as well. So you could say that with the help of uranium and thorium it is used. Now there can be two uses. Like for example, there can be two uses, and mainly two categories in which they can be used. Firstly, we can have a power plant in a positive way. We can have a power plant that is known as nuclear power plant, and another way we can use it for destruction as well. Like first one was for construction, and second one could be destruction, like for making nuclear bombs, atom bombs. Like for example, in World War II, like America threw the nuclear bomb in Hiroshima region in Japan. So that was also example of this. Like it can be used for construction as well as for destruction. It depends on how you use it. So nuclear power plant, nuclear or atomic energy generated with the help of thorium and uranium, and there are some nuclear power plants in our country as well, like thorium that can be found with the Kerala sands, and after that uranium that can be found in Aravalli ranges of our country. So you could say that this is how nuclear power plant works. With that, the most important are their uranium and thorium that you must remember. After that, we have got the next source of energy, that is solar energy. Now solar energy, I guess you will have a very good idea of solar energy. Haven't you seen some solar panels? Like solar energy are those that is you could say that generated from the sunrise, like sun rays. You could say that from the heat of sun. Nowadays, what is happening that photovoltaic methods, photovoltaic technology can convert the sun rays, you could say sunlight, directly into the heat or energy, into electricity, you could say. So you could say that with the photovoltaic technology, we can convert the sunlight or the sun energy into electricity directly. Like for example, in our houses, we need to install the setup of solar panels, and after that they just convert the solar energy into the electricity. So you could say that is also based on technique, that is photovoltaic technique. So you could say solar energy, India is a tropical country, and as well as there is a abundant of sunlight in our country. That is why it is very useful in our country. Like for example, it can be used to run the traffic lights. The lights are used in roads in highways. So for highways, they are a very good conventional method, like convenient method, you could say. They are the non-conventional source of energy, but they are very convenient for people as well. Like just for one time, you could use it as a very good way for producing electricity. After that, we have next source of energy, that is wind power. Like wind power, that is you could say that is generated with the help of windmills. Like we call it wind farms, and in wind farms we need to install the windmills, and with windmills, as they get rotated, energy is produced, heat is produced, and electricity is produced generally. So you could say that it is generally installed in those areas where there will be some wind, where will be some air, you could say, flowing in just a little bit high speed to get the windmills rotated. Like there is a very good power plant there is a very good wind farm in Tamil Nadu region. So you could say that is how wind farms work in our country, wind power that is generated in our country. After that, we have next source of energy, that is biogas. Biogas. Now biogas, you could say that with all the waste material, with human waste, animal waste, and we have you could say that animal waste, cow dung, all these waste materials, we need to have organic materials, and biogas is produced like with a lot of compression. It is generally used in rural areas, and it is a very good kind of source of energy to replace the cattle dung and firewood that were being used in rural areas earlier, because now they can be used as manure, and this biogas is very useful, very convenient, very efficient in its work. Like you could say that biogas that it can be used in rural areas for generating energy, and you could say that biogas that is eco-friendly, completely eco-friendly. You can't just say that is uneco-friendly. Like it has all the organic materials and also acts as a decomposition method as well. So you could say that biogas that is a very good way of source of energy. After that, we have another source of energy, that is tidal energy. So tidal energy, tides is also known as the rhythmic rise and fall of the water in the oceans with the gravitational pull of the moon. Like because of the gravitational pull of the moon, tides are caused in the oceans, and with that rhythmic rise and fall of the water, of the you could say waves in the ocean, we can also generate some energy, some electricity. Like when tides are at their most extent, like there is the highest velocity velocity, then what would happen that they will, like turbines would get rotated. What happens then that some kind of inlets are built, floodgates are built on those up to above that, and inlets are there. So when tides are at their most extent, what would happen that they would be tapped in inlets, and when they are left from that, they are released from that trap, they flow with a very high speed, and with that speed turbines get rotated, and thus energy is produced, and after that electricity is produced. So that is also a very convenient method, a very good way of producing energy. After that we have geothermal energy. Geothermal energy. Now you know what, that this kind of energy is from the interior of Earth. As I often know that the interior of Earth is very hot, and in some regions when we dig it becomes very hot, and that is used as an energy for our purposes, for our use. Now what would happen that in some areas, what happens that the underground water in very high temperature areas, there will be that even in shallow land, even in shallow depth, what would happen that you could find some geothermal energy, like you would find a lot of heat there. Now what happens that in some areas where the groundwater gets converted into steam, and those with that steam power, the turbines get rotated, and those electricity is produced, like heat and energy is produced. And you could see a lot of hot springs in our country. Hot springs that are formed are also on the basis of geothermal energy, because they are also from the interior of the earth, from the energy of interior of earth. And two of the most good examples in our country would be in Himachal Pradesh and in Ladakh. Now there are very good plants of geothermal energy. So you could see that these are some of the non-conventional sources of energy. Now next and last topic of this chapter is conservation of energy resources. So conservation of energy resources. Now you know what is happening, like we need to have a lot of energy in everything, like for industry purpose, for domestic purposes, for our livelihoods, for everything we need to have energy, don't we? And we are using a lot of energy. The rate of consumption of energy resources are also very high. So we need to take some measures for conservation of energy resources as well, for sustainable development, and we should use more and more non-conventional sources of energy, like they are more useful, more convenient, and more eco-friendly compared to conventional sources of energy. Like if we talk about the petroleum, when petroleum is extracted, a lot of smoke gets you could say that it gets spread into the air, into the atmosphere. Well, natural gas is less compared to petroleum gas, as it has less carbon dioxide, but still they are very polluting the air and the atmosphere. But that can't be seen in non-conventional sources of energy, and that is why we should use more and more non-conventional sources of energy, and try to use, like there are some little steps, like for example try to use more and more public vehicles, public facilities, than to use your own, you could say, vehicle, so that as to you could say that it has to conserve the energy resources. After that, switch off the electricity, switch off the lights, and turn off the fans when they are not in use. So these are some little steps you can take and can conserve the energy. It is said rightly in verse that energy saved is energy produced. So this is all we have discussed in this chapter. Now in this chapter we discuss what is a mineral, the mode of occurrence of minerals. After that we discuss about the metallic ferrous minerals and non-ferrous minerals, and non-metallic minerals as well, rock minerals as well. We discuss about mica and limestone. Now mica, that can be found in as transparent black, red, yellow, or brown in different types of colors, and limestone that act as a raw material for cement industry. So you could say that that is what we have discussed in this chapter. That was the mineral part. After that we discuss about the energy resources, where we discuss about the conventional sources of energy and non-conventional sources of energy, like biogas, geothermal energy. We discuss about the wind power, tidal energy, and we discuss about the solar energy as well. So you could say that these are non-conventional energy resources that we should use. So that is all we have discussed in this chapter. I have discussed all the topics and subtopics. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Next chapters of this book will be covered in further upcoming videos. So thank you very much.